A person's value to humanity is not always reflected in the amount of money they earn or the type of work they perform. A high-paid individual can work to harm other human beings or even to destroy humanity, while a low-paid laborer might work his or her life away for the benefit of others and have very little to show for it in so far as savings and money. Enter the perpetrators working for organized stalking. The perpetrators working for the organized stalkers, or whoever is running this psyop, psychological warfare, right? They are earning money to hunt, stalk, harass, and destroy other individuals. The people they are trying to destroy in many cases are being run out of society or driven to complete collapse on every level, physically, psychologically, emotionally, and even spiritually, while trying to carry on with normal life while being targeted by a mob of jackals, following them around, slandering them, making false reports, trying to set them up, breaking into their home when they, the targets, aren't there, so that they always have to worry about what was done to their food, water, and other belongings when they were out. Tracking their every move and reporting their location to whoever's running this, to the organizers, who then cause further trouble for them, for the targets, at each new location, and so on. Many targets end up collapsing under the pressure. They just can't do it anymore. Some end up homeless after being run out of society. Some commit suicide, and others snap violently on the perpetrators and end up in prison or a psych ward. In either case, they're discredited, so they're not going to be taken seriously after that point. Right? Targets are thus discredited as having little value to society, when in fact it's the targets in this situation, when we're talking about organized stalking, who are the only ones who have any true value or worth. Not only do the perpetrators have little benefit to humanity, they are actually working to destroy humanity, to usher in a dystopic police state, worse than Orwell's 1984. And they're doing it for greed, for money, for group bonding, to satiate their primal instinct to run with a pack against a common enemy, and of course, because of their cowardice. While they crave the hunt, they don't truly want to be in any real danger. They gather in a massive group against a lone target who has no way of fighting back. Gathering in a massive group against a lone target who has no way of fighting back is the easiest thing a cowardly predator can do. It satiates his or her desire for battle, but without any real risk to his or her life. These are pathetic, worthless cowards. These pathetic, worthless cowards spend their lives hunting and stalking lone, easy targets, most of whom are innocent, though no one will remain innocent after years of being attacked like this. At some point, the targets are going to start swinging back, which then becomes a self-fulfilled expectation to the perpetrators hunting them. If these cowardly predators, the perpetrators, waste their lives following around some poor schmuck who hasn't done anything wrong, isn't planning on committing a crime, and has no clue as to why this is happening to him or her. Yet these cowardly predators actually pride themselves on a job well done, on their quote-unquote exciting career that makes them feel like an FBI agent's special little secret, when in reality they're nothing but a bunch of role players playing dress-up who have decided to include unwilling participants in their game. Now understand, I have nothing against role players as long as they play with other willing participants and it's all in good fun. In fact, I tend to like a lot of the people who engage in role play. They're creative, imaginative, intelligent, and we get on pretty well. And of course, they're just expressing their interest in a manner that is harmless, okay? But when it comes to the organized stalking perpetrators, well, this is a different story. Organized stalking perpetrators want all of the excitement of a real war, but without any of the real danger. And instead of just going off into the woods with other like-minded individuals and pretending, they take their games to mainstream society and force other unwilling individuals to participate as hunted prey. Right. So not only do the perpetrators working for the PSYOP team have no real value to humanity, they're actually harming the entire human race by normalizing a society where no one has freedom, where anyone can be placed on a list and have every right ripped away from them, even the right to take a dump in private. And soon, as they continue to normalize this, they'll begin the next stage in their propaganda, which is to tell people that we never had such a right to begin with. You know, the right to privacy in the bathroom, our own bathroom, and that we're the ones being unreasonable for expecting such a thing. And of course, in no time, we'll have the masses repeating this very same thing. And just a side note, I bet you that that's exactly what the organizers are going to have the perpetrators come up and say to me next, or at least some point within the next week, because they want to provoke, and they know that's going to piss me off the most. Anyway, it's the targets who have real value to society. First and foremost, this wouldn't be happening to the targets if someone didn't believe them to be special in some manner. The perpetrators gathering in herds to hunt their prey are the mindless sheeple, who are sent out to provoke the targets to violent response. The lives of the perpetrators clearly mean nothing to those who hired them. They are the mindless cogs in an ever-spinning wheel of death and destruction, and are easily replaced. But the prey, the targets, have some value to someone. Maybe we're guinea pigs in an experiment. Maybe we're expected to do something for whoever is running this sick program. Now, we know the organizers of this want the targets to snap violently, if preferably that's what they want, I think. But I always assumed that the reason for this was to discredit the target, even to get him or her out of the way by having him arrested or thrown in a psych ward. But maybe it's more than that. Maybe this is a type of modern-day Manchurian candidate creation. Maybe the rulers want mass violence so that they can justify their anti-constitutional red flag laws, which will really only hurt victims of serious crime like psychological abuse and gaslighting and, of course, covert warfare. As in cases such as this, it's the victims who are breaking down and appear mentally unstable, while the abusers, who are psychopaths, appear to be well-adjusted members of society. Or maybe a target has political views that are in opposition to the ruling elite, and he or she appears to be a leader, or is intelligent enough to express those views to a wider audience in a manner that is easy to understand and persuasive. Maybe the target has influence, or at least the ability to influence, if he or she does decide to speak out. This program, whatever it is, could be an attempt to destroy the target so that even if he does begin to speak out, he will have no credibility, as his character will have already been destroyed by the defamation against him, the false accusations, setups, and even by his own public breakdowns when he just can't take any more. And remember, too, that targets also have lives to live. Imagine a caretaker. Now, this job, the job of a caretaker, is probably one of the most rewarding jobs someone can have. Caring for another person in need not only builds good character, it creates bonds that cannot be matched by someone who shows up for a few minutes, does a few things, and then bails, leaving the real hands-on work to another. Even still, this can be a difficult job, especially if the person being cared for, whether a family member, friend, or client, is severely mentally disabled. Dealing with someone who has a severe mental illness can be brutally difficult on caretakers, especially sole caretakers, 24/7, they don't have anyone else to rely on. Taxing even the most patient and resilient of them. Some caretakers can't even leave the home they're working in for very long, as they must stay near the person being cared for and have no one else to call if they want a little break. Some of them can't even go for a walk around the block to get some fresh air. Now, add organized stalking to the mix and everything that entails, and someone who is already worn down might truly break down under the added pressure. Even just the one task of taking the person he or she is caring for to the doctor and having to worry about what damage the person did, and having to worry about what damage the perpetrators did while they were out of the home, and what could have been tampered with, meaning the food, the water, the medication, the medical supplies, and so on. This adds to the stress, the work, and even the danger if the perpetrators tampered with something in a manner that can pose a health risk to the caregiver, the person being cared for, or both. And of course, there's always the chance that a target might not even be able to get and keep a sufficiently paying job. Imagine having someone follow you around 24/7, flagging you as a potential threat and reporting you to everyone you might encounter. Not exactly easy to get and maintain a job in that situation, is it? Or even to be able to live in society. And that's the point of this. Whoever's running this is using the masses to run selected individuals out of society. And to the Christians out there, this is a trial run, I think, for the mark of the beast system, where you're not going to be able to buy or sell or live in society unless you take the mark. And whatever that is, I'm not going to debate that here. But this is, you want to know what that persecution is like. Here's the beginning of it. Look at the targeted individuals, and you will see the beginning of that. But back to the caretakers, whose true value to this world is not reflected in their pittance of a salary. To think, a person in this situation who actually has value to this world through his or her service to others typically earns very little or nothing at all, while the organized stalkers, whose only role is to destroy innocent, easy targets, earn an income for a job as easy as sitting at a bus stop eating an ice cream cone just to catch the target as he or she passes and report that target to the organizers so that they can cause more trouble in every destination the target arrives at. So, to the woman who was a foot perpetrator who says, "Do you work?" Here is my response to this offline perpetrator whose cowardly, predatory son got her involved in this mess. And he's earning a lot of money for this. Yes, the targets work harder and longer than that spawn of yours who wastes his life following around, hunting, stalking, and harassing lone, innocent targets. Just because we don't get paid as much as he does doesn't mean we're not working. Our salary does not reflect our work. It's your useless little spawn that doesn't really work. He has the easiest job anyone can have, to gather in a group and follow around someone who couldn't fight back even if he or she wanted to. We, on the other hand, struggle through our daily lives, working to navigate around the obstacles set in our way by vermin like that spawn who got you involved in this. And we do so as we try to carry out our obligations to other people, such as those of us who are caretakers. Moreover, many of us spend whatever free time we have speaking out against the real threat. Did you get me? Speaking out against the real threat. We actually fight against tyranny, which is the only brave and noble thing to do. And we lose money for that. We lose income for that. In some cases, we lose everything for that. Our families, our homes, and many targets have already lost their lives. Okay. In reality, though, targets lose their lives whether or not they speak out, so they may as well speak out, right? And we do this, while your cowardly spawn gets paid to bend over for the real threat. Those who stand out against organized stalking have a job just in that alone, though it's rarely a paid position, and many of these poor souls are homeless, yet still do whatever little they can to spread the word. Their lack of an income, their lack of paying taxes, their lack of tax money going in does not reflect the work they've done. They've worked harder than many of you. They embody every brave man and woman, past and present, who has ever stood up against tyranny, while the cowardly perpetrators who bend over for the real threat represent the masses, the sheeple, who have only ever fought against freedom, even their own, and get paid to do it. So, tell me, does that answer your question, ma'am?